All right, it is time for a tag video. Yes, a tag video. Hey everyone, it is Shannon, and I'm super excited to be here today and to do this tag for you. This is the Key Eff 2020 book tag, which was created by Izzy from Happy for Now. Hi, Izzy. And this is just, it's a really, it's kind of like a bit of a because 2020 has had its moments. So this is an opportunity to look at some of the good times and to maybe express some frustration on some of the bad times. So let's get right into this. The first question is, share some of the good stuff that happened in 2020 and some of the bad stuff if you want. I will have to say one of the highlights of this year so far was getting to visit with my brother. He came for a visit. He's in California. I'm in Toronto. Most of the family is Toronto-ish. But he's in California, right, in the US, and he visited right before COVID. And so it was just a really great opportunity to spend some time with him, spend some time with the family together. Now given the circumstances, I don't know when I'm going to see him. And it had been a while, and I just had so much fun talking with him, and we talked a lot about books. He's a writer. So yeah, it was just really great to spend that much time with him and time with the family, and I have lots of good memories of the time that he was here. And then he went back and just and then the world just yeah. So there's that. I also, and I don't have anything close by. The other thing that I'm really happy about is that I've gotten back to doing art after a long time of not doing art. And I haven't shared it as much on social media or anything, but beyond some drawings for book related things, and challenges that I do. But yeah, I love art. I love drawing in particular, and I just wasn't doing it for a really long period of time. And now I've settled back into doing it semi-regularly. I'd like to do it a bit more regularly, and so that's been nice to have a bit of a tide turn there. And and part of that is thanks to my sister Jamie, who got me an art class for my birthday, and I've been having a lot of fun going through and doing that art class. So yeah, it's just nice to have some stuff, and also live shows. I have been absolutely loving live shows, especially the romance booktubers who do like the Tuesday night reading hour, and Nicole from Who Picked This Book, and she does like a Wednesday night book club thing, and then I found like different ones here and there everywhere, and it has just been so wonderful to just like spend some time with people, even though it's virtually, and so I've really appreciated. So thank you to everyone who hosts live shows, and if you host a live show, please let me know, because I do like to come and say hi and see what's going on and all that good stuff. Of course, the bad stuff is pretty obvious. COVID is horrible. Who knows when things will come back to any kind of normal. We're finally stage 3 here in Toronto, but mandatory masks in any indoor environment. Things have started to open up, but it's also just, you just don't quite know what's going to happen, how some businesses are going to get back on their feet, and what's that going to mean in the long term, and, stability. It's really challenging. And then, of course, especially in the States, all of the horrible racial violence and or racism that has become violent, but it also hopefully will lead to some really good change. There's been so much awareness and so much persistence and so much resistance and so much education, and so hopefully the tide will turn there, as well. And because we gotta be there for each other, right? So anyway, I'm gonna get all emotional, so I'm going to go to the next question. Question number 2 is, what book did you love at the beginning of the year? I love that this question was here because I didn't start doing videos again until about April, so I didn't get to share books that I read before then, except for on Goodreads and, other places too. But one of my favorite ones, one of my favorite books was Werner's Nomenclature of Colors. Adapted to Zoology, Botany, Chemistry, Mineralogy, Anatomy, and the Arts by Syme? Syme, maybe. And this literally is colors, the text description of what different colors look like, where they are in the world, and there's charts for all of the different kinds of, and then the actual colors themselves. So those are different: white, versions of white. Let me find something that'll pop a bit more. Maybe there's like reds or oranges. I love this. Like different, these are yellows, oranges. Oranges. So they're descriptions, depictions, and where you find them. So this was a joy. This was a Christmas present from my dad. I told him I wanted it. It wasn't like random, hey, would you like this nomenclature of color? So, yeah, it is really wonderful. It was a very fast read, but it's a great reference, and I'm super happy to have it. Question number three, a book that you were looking forward to that you ended up not being great. I don't have an example for this, but I do have a book that I got that I haven't read yet that I'm a little hesitant about, but I'm still going to read, so I hope that's close enough. And that is A Heart of Blood and Ashes by Milla Vane. Like, of course I wanted to read this. This is a gladiator romance that's like a fantasy setting, but gladiators, like, of course. Or like I've also heard it described as like Conan the Barbarian, but romance. So like sword and sorcery, gladiator romance, like all of that is awesome, right? Like all of that is awesome. But I didn't know that Milla Vane was a pseudonym or another name for Meljean Brook. I had no idea. So, and I didn't love The Iron Duke. I read The Iron Duke, which is a steampunk romance. And I also read The Iron Seas. I think that's what it was called. It was like an 8-part series that made up a book. And I didn't love either of them. And I don't know how much that was the writing, or I don't think it was the writing per se. I have a feeling I don't really like steampunk, so maybe that's it. I am still going to give this a try. I am so super excited about this. Yeah. Then the Destroyer came. I don't know. So I'm a little hesitant about that, and I really hope it's not going to be a disappointment, but that's the closest I came to an answer for that. Number 4, a book that surprised you this year. Okay, so for this one, I have A Dark and Stormy Night by Anne Stewart. So this is a Harlequin American romance, but as you may notice, this subtitle or the mini category, or what's it called, series is called More Than Men, and it's like number, I don't know, like they have a lot of them, but this is from, when is this from? November 1997. So this has some like extra elements to it that I was not expecting at all. And it's mostly set in this like huge house. So it has this sort of like haunted house vibe. And then there's like this sort of like paranormal thing going on that I didn't expect. I loved it. It was so good. And I have read other work by Anne Stewart, which I've enjoyed, I think. I'm not totally sure on that. But one thing I will say though, like cautionary, is that like, given this is, there is some problematic depiction of some characters, not the main characters, but other characters that we wouldn't like, we've come far hopefully in these 23 years since this was released, and so there is some elements of that, just as a bit of a forewarning, in terms of how they talk about some of the characters. It just feels like inappropriate now. But the main couple and the main story, it's like a woman who's, I think she's a journalist, and she's driving, and it's a stormy night, and she ends up in this like big house castle, and like it's just, and the great tension, they don't like each other, so it's like one of those, but and then there's like some mystic sort of stuff. Oh, it was so great. It was a huge surprise. I had no idea. I really enjoyed it. Number 5, a book that you like but nobody else talks about. Okay, I don't think I read that quite right. A book that you like but nobody else does or talks about enough. Okay, so I have 2 examples for this. One, I talk about a fair amount Ibsen, the Norwegian playwright, which I don't think a lot of people talk about because or maybe I just don't follow a lot of channels that talk about plays. That's not totally true, but yeah, so this, like, I know it's not current in any sense of the word, but I really love Ibsen, and I'm working through all the works of Ibsen, so that's one answer for that. My other answer for that is, I would say, the manga Descending Stories, which is a josei manga, and it follows a guy who gets out of jail, and he wants to learn a particular style of, I never remember what it's called, Rakugo, which is a particular performance style, and he ends up being able to apprentice with someone. So it's got performing arts, it's historical, and I really enjoy it. It's got an interesting cast of characters, and I don't think I've heard anyone else talk about it, and I'm a little surprised at that. But I am still, I think I've been reading manga for about 2 years now, and I still feel like a complete noob. And this mostly I read because it was available at the library. So I was just looking for Jose titles and scouring the internet for lists of Jose stuff and just balancing it against what my library had, and they had this, and I was like, yes. And then performing arts, I was like, yes. So I'm really enjoying that, and I haven't heard many people talk about that. A book you want to come out already. Gosh darn it, in 2020. Now, I am not someone who actually, where is it? Where is it? Did I put it in, I might have put it in the wrong. Apologies, one moment. I don't follow a lot of new releases, so this was a bit of a challenge for me. Oh my goodness, and I don't know how to insert pictures, so I can't do that. But there is, let me just look for it, because it's so good. And I did find it, I guess I didn't hit save class fast enough. But this one I heard about from Amy from Zoe Back, and it is The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. This comes out September 10th, 2020, so it's not that far away, but if it came out today, that would be even better. Who knows, maybe this video will go up in September. I have no idea. Anyway, this is an epic fantasy, and it's an adult series, and it has an empire controlled by bone shard magic, and the claiming of a birthright, and learning forbidden magic. And I'm like, yes, to all of that. Yes. So that's really exciting, and I'm looking forward to reading that one. And and so that comes out pretty soon. That's the closest I could get. I am sometimes not the best at answering tag questions. You may have noticed. Okay, number 7. What book were you looking forward to that got pushed to 2021? Nothing. I don't stay that up to date on new releases. I obviously read a lot of, not even backlist, not even close to backlist. Actually, this is technically backlist. So I actually, for me, that actually ends up being a good thing, because there's nothing that I am excited, nothing that got pushed. I did notice there's going to be a new, in an only 2021 release I am aware of, is there's going to be a book that's sort of part of the Kate Daniels universe, that is like an extension of the universe, and I can't even remember what it was called, but it's coming out in January 2021, so I don't think it was supposed to come out earlier, but that's the closest I can get. That one you can actually, I think, read online chapter by chapter. They often do that. Alona Andrews, they're a couple, they often do that. I'll leave a link to the actual title below, because I can't remember it off the top of my head. It sucks at doing tags. Okay, number 8. Finally, what book do you think you will think of when you think of 2020? I came up with 2 answers to this. The first one, I think, is very clearly How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi. This definitely was a book that a lot of people read right in June, and are still reading. I think it's a really important work. I really got a lot out of it. I am definitely going to reread it. So I think it's definitely, I think it will just really remind me of this year. And then also in terms of fiction, Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. I actually read both of these in June, and I happen to, even though I say I don't tend to read a lot of current releases, this is a current release that I read, and there were a fair amount of people that were reading it at the same time, and it's very emotional and very good, and I listened to it on audio, which is unusual for me, but it's in verse, so I think that helped, and had 2 narrators, which was interesting, and made sense for the story. It was a very impactful, powerful story about family, and I got a lot from it, and it was really interesting to read it together. It was not like a read-along or anything like that. It just happened to be that several people, we were all reading it at the same time soon after it was released, and it was nice to talk to people about it, especially because it was so emotional. So I think those are the 2 that I am going to think about when I think about 2020, at least so far. We're only just over halfway through, so gosh, I hope it gets better from here. Here's to it getting better from here. So next up is to tag some people. I tag Izzy, Punk Rock Girl PA, Anita from Anita Reads, and Amy from Zoe Beck. You are all tagged. Anyone who wants to do this tag, feel free to do this tag. And thank you to Izzy from Happy for Now for creating this tag. It was a lot of fun to do, and I think I really like reflecting, so it's always nice to have an opportunity to do that, and it was nice to look at some of the highlights and lowlights of the year and hope for some goodness and better stuff in the future. So thanks, Izzy, so much, and I will be back soon with another video. Thank you for watching.